Hello and welcome back to creating an autonomous financial agent. My name is Mike with Foster DevOps and I'm ready to hop back into it. Last time we started going into how to set up an agent and setting up the web browser for the ADK. Today we're going to take a step back and look into some of the ways we can give our agent the proper context it needs for our application. So let's put me over here. And so episode 2, building an autonomous financial agent, we're going to be focusing more on the context piece of AI agent access. So what is an AI agent, right? We've talked about this last time, but in AI engineering, Chip Huon describes an AI agent as anything that can perceive its environment and act upon that environment. Right. So really it boils down to a planning model that can plan out what the agent will do and the access to the environment, which are considered tools. That together creates an agent, an autonomous agent. So context is the most important part. I believe everyone who has been working with AI can understand it's all about having the proper context. So over the next few episodes, I will allow our AI agent to access the past month of financials for me. It'll be scrubbed data, so it won't be completely accurate, and I'll just have generated some data, but in the same data model that I will be getting from my credit card providers. This tool is considered knowledge augmentation. So the knowledge augmentation is allowing our agent, giving it extra knowledge, giving it read to be able to read my financials and start bucketizing things and understanding how we should develop what our tool will do. Today we'll have a couple questions answered, and perhaps these questions will still be open. What will a model be able to tell me from my credit card statements? Do I need to set up a way to convert the data I'm receiving, which we would need if I was having any PDF format data or anything else? Maybe I have access to the API. And how will my agent access this in the future? Will I be a user and will I upload my financial statements into some blob storage? Will I upload these financial statements straight into a SQL database? I'm not sure how that looks today, but as we dive in, we'll have answers to these questions so that we can design a system to properly augment the agent's knowledge. I've done some pre-work to look into my financial statements and get this on the scrubbed data. The big part of this is both of my credit cards allow exports to CSV, and I'll be able to manually move that CSV into the context for the model. That's a great starting point so that I don't have to go write a parser to parse the PDF file into a CSV file I can use, right? So what I'll do is explore this model that my both statements give me, and I'll try to get on a consolidated model that I will combine both of those statements together. All the while, I'll take that data and give it to an LLM to decide what categories I will track from my credit card statements. And from those categories, I'll take that and parse my statements into each category to understand which categories are am I spending the most money. So to come back to our diagram, this is our main piece, but I want to focus in on this financial data ingestion. So I'm going to create a new diagram, which is our financial data ingestion, right? All right, so in here, zoom in, we have credit card 1 statement, and we have credit card 2 statement. These are both CSVs. Okay, both of these will analyze and put into a shared model. So credit card statement .csv. So both of these will go into our credit card statement, and that will be one consolidated view. Just getting here would be great, right? I don't want to have two different statements that I have to dissect. I would love to just be able to say, okay, here's all of my money that I'm spending towards these cards. There's another piece where I'm just going to put an asterisk here. There, follow up on credit card offerings. So the points, the deals, whatever those are, I want to be able to go back and integrate that into what is actually being spent. And once I have this credit card statement, I want to put that into categorized spending, right? So, right, I can just put that right into the categorized spending, which has multiple files within it, right? I will have many files within my, let's see if I can find many files over here. So there's multiple categories within this spending, right? I don't know what those categories are. So to create this, I'm going to send all of my statements into an LLM and say, based on these purchases, I want to create categories I can fit all of them in. I also have business expenses. So I need to be able to figure out when something is a business expense. That can be a backlog item. So first, if we come back here, I'll add a card, create categories for what I spend my money on. Okay, and then I also want I will need a call to the LLM that will be categorizing each line item, right? Here, let's make this bigger. Okay, categorizing each line item. Perfect. Can I make this a little bit better? Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can do this, that, bang. Okay. So this will be an LLM call. So let me make that blue. And then I want this to be white. It's fine. Okay, let's go back here. And then this will be the target. And then this will be an initial target. And then these two will be a source. And then this is just, hey, follow up on this. Okay, this is an LLM call. This seems pretty straightforward. I also need to create the credit card, create the credit card spend CSV/data model. And then I also want to create, so create that, create the categories, and then create the parser for categories into the proper data target. Okay, great. So I can start with creating the credit card spend CSV data model. So I am going over here and I am downloading my credit card statements. And to explain this a little bit more, this is sort of where there is a misconception for how we are using our how we use this, right? So are we supposed to do by just download that and let me download this. So before I've gotten into using an LLM, setting up an agent, I need to set up the context for that agent to be able to use. That's a very big piece of any of this, is how do I get this access to my context in a secure way? And that's really what's going to be a difference maker for all of this. Is, hey, I can give this so much more access, right? So I have this data this data? I have it in numbers. Let me go up and copy all this. Let me copy this and move this into here. Let me move it into Google Sheets. I can use Google Sheets here, and I'll get rid of that. Save. So here we have credit card 1 and all of that information. And then we also have credit card 2. Headers. Okay, so we have date, description, amount, and category. And so we do have categories for all of this straight out of the statements. If I look at these, so I have restaurants, supplies and groceries, but those supplies and groceries, yeah, 7-Eleven goes into supplies and groceries. Let's see here. So we get category, we have dates and the post date. Don't need that. Description will align with description, amount will align with amount, and category will need some mapping between the two. In credit card 1, we have a little bit more details. Extended details is a quick description and appears on, has a little bit more data as well. And yeah, we have category, and the categories do not line up. So let me grab a new sheet and call this category statement 1, category statement 2. So if I grab this, statement 2. I grab this for statement 1. We can see the different categories, and I can do this. Data cleanup, remove duplicates. I just want column A. Okay, let me Control Z that. I only want column A. So clean up, remove duplicates, remove. Okay. This, remove duplicates. Okay, and I notice there is a blank here. So if I come back over, I go to the blank, I want to find out what cost that is. So the blank is my mobile payment. because that is tracked in mine. So the payment is tracked. Great. So this box I can get rid of, and I can say if this is a mobile payment, I can just get rid of that. So let me go back to my Trello board and say mobile payments will be empty categories. Save that. If I come back here, I don't know if I need to categorize each line item, and it'll go into my categorized spending. I believe the credit card statement will easily go into the categorized spending, and this will just be consolidating down that other list. So if we come back here, we can see that merchandise supply, groceries. Let's look at this merchandise line. So right away I can tell my Amazon Prime subscription gets categorized as merchandise. That's not totally correct, right? But it does, I could say it goes under merchandise. All Amazon.com purchases fall under merchandise. And I personally would prefer merchandise and supplies, sporting goods stores, music and video, pharmacies. I enjoy this extra context. Supplies and general retail. That's really nice. And then groceries, right? So base, it would be merchandise. And then there's also sporting goods. So let me go here and let me do Target. So I'm going to copy these, okay. So here, all of these will be easy-ish to develop, right? These are sort of what I'm going to default to. The blank I can delete, and awards and rebate credits I can also delete, and payments and credits, I would like to see what fees are. So fees is just if there is a fee, like a late fee. That's like any credit card fees. I want that number to stay 0, so I do want this. For payments and credits, that's just my payment. And then awards and rebate credits, that goes back to that circle I built to follow up on credit card offerings. So this is the credit card offerings, right? This is my payments, so I can delete that cell. Okay. Taxis and coach. Restaurant, bar, and cafe. So I like all of these. Let me see what other government services means. There's this. For UP. I do not recall that purchase, but I can look into it here. Let's see what this is. Okay, so this is just a public golf course, and that's where it's coming up in government and services, which is not totally true, right? But there's no way that my credit card companies could figure that out. So, yeah. In the actual descriptions, it's not very helpful. Other might need manual review each month. But I'm just looking through this and trying to, here's business services, airport, airport F&B, airport restaurant. This is just a restaurant, looks like. Yeah, so grabbing dinner and a water at a, and this is the music and video. Travel lodging, there's travel lodging. Travel lodging. Okay, so my travel and lodging. There's some Houston. That's okay. Cool. So I believe the category 1 statement is where I want my transactions to fall. Merchandise. Okay, and then I think for spending, I'm gonna have a spending categories, right? Based on this data. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna copy this here, copy this, put that here, copy this, put that here. And then I'm going to get rid of these borders. Okay. So this is going to be my spending categories. And right away, I want to get rid of awards, payments, credits, fees, get rid of that. Delete cells, shift them up. So I have transportation and I have government services. Okay. I want to get to a list that is all consolidated down. Business services, other services. I don't have one here. I have one that's called services. And I have other services here. Business services. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of these business services. So just bring this over. So I have Google Cloud as a service. Let me copy these services over to visualize this. Grab this one. And then I also have, so that's from number 1, and then I have business services. I have other government services, which we've decided this was a golf piece. That's from 2. I have business services. That's gonna go down. Here it is. This is a restaurant service, right? And then I also have business services, contracting services. And this is Bloomin' Pay. copied this one over. This looks more like a let's see what this service was. And I'm just looking this up to see the okay. What's this? Blah. Let's see, where was I? 306. This is the So this is a charge in Mexico. We'll see why. Bloomin' Pay. CP. Okay. I do not know the... It's my only charge in Mexico. Okay. So these are our services charges. And let's see if I have another. Yeah, so I have a Microsoft trial one. I have YouTube TV, some Squarespace domain. So a lot of these services are defined as like my recurring, I have another Squarespace domain. So I bought a couple domains, and then I have my Microsoft one. So realistically, I'm looking at all of these charges on credit card statement one, and I'm noticing it's going to be hard to categorize these based off of just the description, right? So some, right, Amazon Prime, easy to understand. Then I have Brown's Barbecue in Austin, easy to get. It's hard when we try to do apple.com. Is that merch? It's actually just extra storage, right? So Hulu's a service. So I would argue that's a service, the apple.com. But we can categorize that as merchandise for the time being to make this simpler. So to really make it easy, all of these can map into services. Right? There's going to be transportation. So I grab services, this one, this one, this one, this one. I'm going to delete those from here so I know they're done. Delete. Delete. And delete these. Okay, now transportation. Okay, gasoline. So I like doing transportation as a one, and then travel, entertainment. Let me make sure I don't want travel and entertainment in here. So travel, entertainment. So travel and entertainment on this is actually my gym dues. So funny enough, that travel / entertainment I'm not going to involve it here, and I'm going to have a different version. So I'm going to bring gasoline, taxis and coach, and travel fuel, transportation fuel. And this is all going to go into transportation. Transportation. So now that I have that mapped out, I can go back here and I'm going to map this into gym. And then I want to map merchandise. I want all of this. Then I have merchandise, supplies, groceries. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say merchandise. There's a lot of merchandise right here. So there's a lot of different things that are merchandise. My Gemini subscription is merchandise, right? I have a supermarkets one though. So I'm going to do merchandise to be, I want to classify that differently. So I'm going to bring this down here. I'm going to bring all of this up. No, I want to bring this down as well. And I want to bring all of this up. This is going to be gym. And then this is going to be extra stuff. Pharmacies, let me look at what pharmacies might be. So music is fun. That goes into fun. Pharmacies is like CVS, which is really more so, I would classify this as groceries or food. But I want to keep groceries and restaurants separate, so I'm going to bring that down here. Bring this up, go here, groceries. General retail. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to say merchandise, general retail. Let's see. Here's a general retail one. This is Uptown Sheepscale. So this is like clothes. So I'm going to classify both of these as merchandise. Let me bring in an expert in some of this. Bring them in here and say, I have a few charges categorized as merchandise. These charges include my Apple subscription for iCloud storage, clothes, and gas station, and like other indulgences like drinks from a gas station. What should the umbrella category be for this? Let's see. Personal lifestyle is good. Discretionary spending is good. Quality of life is good. I like personal and lifestyle. So that will fit our merchandise and supplies in general. Supermarkets is going to be groceries, and then restaurant, bar, and cafe, that's going to be restaurants, and that's going to be restaurant. I could also say eating out, but I'm just going to say restaurants. And then government services, travel, lodging. Travel, lodging, I'll identify as travel. And then government services. Let me check again. This is other. This is going to be other. And then automotive. What were my automotive charges? Go over here. Automotive. Mayville. NYA. Apple Pay. Service Works. $3. Not too familiar. Let me test this. Let's just see what this is. This is an apartment complex charge. I'm going to classify that as other. Okay, so this is credit card statement category, and this is category. Okay, perfect. So now we have a mapping of our previous categories to our new categories. And what we're going to do is set up a way to ingest all of our existing data into these categories and then have several categories for each application to watch. So I'll delete these columns. So this is an important activity that we did that is going to help us categorize the actual statements, and then I'm going to say our actual headers will be date, will be transaction date, description, amount, category. Perfect. So it's just going to be there's going to be 4 columns in our table. And it'll be transaction date, description, amount, and category. So we're going to continue building this base. In the future, we're going to need to upload all of this data, and it's going to need to sync into all of this. So let me delete these. And now we have our category. And then these are just examples. I'm going to delete that. And then target headers. Okay. And then the mappings for that. If I can create a small Python script that can just read from some storage and put them into the category statement.csv. And what will actually happen is I'm going to then have a full list of all of my statements and my monthly spend on top of that. So a really easy way to just get this going is if we come back here to a new terminal. Open this one up. Okay, awesome. I have BOBU. Okay. I'm going to create a directory called finance agent. I'm going to create another directory called scripts, if I can spell. Okay, cool. So I also want to create a new UV here, UV init. So to do this, I'm going to remove the finance agent and UV init finance agent. And then I'm going to create a scripts directory, and I will create a data directory. And I also want to create a data/source directory. And then I will go into my scripts. And I have two options. I can use, I can type out the Python myself, or I can try to vibe code a solution here. I am pretty certain I could write this pretty easily. I think writing it with AI might actually make it tougher, since it's just a script. It's not really too hard, and I want to know what's going on. This script will then be refactored into our entire code base to actually be a job that's running in the cloud with our agent. But for the time being, I'm going to just touch, and I'll call it ingestion. I'll call it cc statement ingestion.py. And I will go into NeoVim, go in here, import polars as PL, and I need to UV add polars. Okay. And this script will read in the source data, read in credit card statements, data source I have CC statements, read in CC statements, and then CC statement, so map CC headers to target CC CSV headers, and then I will map CC categories to target CSV. Cool, and then I'll exit the program. The transaction date is really important. It's going to make things very easy for us down the line, because we can just have a single store for all of our historical transactions, and we can aggregate those as we need. in the database. So also you can use pandas. I'm going to use polars. Polars is written in Rust. Polars found a great speed up versus pandas. The piece I like about polars is it's very type safe. So there's this concept called schemas, which you define the data structure for polars. And that schema makes it very hard for errors to appear, because like unknown errors within your code, because you have to read in the schema properly. So I'm going to read in the credit card statements, and how I'll do this, I need to look at so the statements both have unique, well, one has a unique title, file name, because it has the date attached of that timing period, and then the other one is a very easy activity one. What I want to do is, reading in the credit card statements, I want to, for each credit card statement, for each CSV in the source slash or data slash source slash CC statements, read in a new data frame. And really, instead of reading in a new data frame, I'm going to append each df to the statement type. And then I'll have two statements. And then I will combine both data frames and then map. So for statement in CC statements, if, so I want to do, I need to read in files in the data source CC statements. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to add these statements. I'm going to save this one as Amex. So I'm saving one as Amex. 03, so the month, 11, the date of the end period, 2026. Perfect. I am going to open this up, go to my file location, which I have. Okay. And then I'm going to here, go into AI agents, finance agent, data, source, CC statements, move. Okay, I have that one, and then we'll copy this one to the same location. Okay, so first I want to read the files from that directory, and let's just print them out. So print, let me let's remember how to, let's show this. Let me try to show you how this process sort of works. sort of how I like, so I just asked Gemini, like, how do I read these in? So I'll import path. So treats paths as objects. Okay, and then I can iterate over everything in there. So print file for file in path.record path equals because I need file.name. Plus data source cc. Okay, so they're saved as .numbers. It's definitely not what I want. I want .csv. So let me go here, go back up here. You can close that. Go back to downloads, here and here, desktop. Copy these into my agent. So these are just CSV files that I'm copying and pasting in here, which is really what I want. I don't want those .numbers. I'll show you what this looks like over here. Let's see this. Run that. Okay. So I'm going to delete that. Files equals this. Yes. So I don't want that. Data.ds store. Okay. Cool. So now I have all of the files. I'm going to rename that CC statements. And then get rid of that. So I have reading the names. And then for statement in CC statements. And then I also have this. So if I do in path.glob, so there's path, I can do .glob, and I can say starred CSV. And then in here, I want a discover check. I want a Amex check. And then I want to handle neither. And to handle neither, I'm just gonna say like error, right? Okay, cool. So we're gonna get all of these, and I want to read those in. First, I want to check the discover. So discover data source CC statements, discover, so MV data source statements, activity to data source CC statements Amex 20 I said 03/11/2026 .csv, and then I want to do the same thing for my discover, but discover ends on 3/4. Discover. I will change this to my discover statement. Yeah, 26. Okay, cool. Oh, 03, 04. Okay, now I want to check if the file name, so if statement, and then Python string dot begins with starts with. Okay, so I can look at this with starts with case. It is case sensitive, so I want to do statement equals statement dot lower if statement dot starts with discover, and I will do I want to do one for Amex as well. Bang, there. And then I can change this to discover file name prefix, and I can say if it starts with discover file name prefix, read it into discover data frame equals pl dot read CSV, and then I can do the same for Amex here. It's file name. Okay, and then else print let me look up the Python logger. Logging, yeah, import logging. Else log.error. No defined credit card statement not yet implemented. And then I'll say statement not yet implemented, else, okay, got that. Okay, cool. So now I need to actually read in that. Let me go down here and print discover df.head. Let me print Amex df.head to visualize once we read in, and then I am going to ask how to read in a CSV from polars. pl.read CSV, and I can just put the path. Let me do path / statement. And I will do yi. Great, perfect. Okay. It should use the separator as comma, has header, defaults to true. Okay. Columns, perfect. Okay, D types, a dictionary. So let's see. Okay, let's see what this will do. Okay, cool. So I get all of my data. That's what I want. We can keep the visualizations in there. Let's combine both. And then map the CC headers. And I'm saying now, this won't really do what we want to do in the future. We need to be able to map all of the CSVs in the future if I'm just uploading a bunch. There's a couple ways. There's a hacky way I can do this, where I just read in the first one and I don't loop over everything. I would rather have my discover df equals dot frame. Let's see. How would I initialize a polars data frame with predefined? Okay. So I need a discover schema, and I need an Amex schema. And this will be a little easy. I just need to go back to my CSV. If I go here, yeah, there. So up here is my Amex, here's my discover. So I have date, I have transaction date. That's going to be PL dot. What does that look like? That is a date. Date. And I have another date, which is a post date. And I have description, which is a string. And I have an amount, which is a decimal. And can I do float? And it would be very easy to just go here and say for polars data types. I grab this, go up here. So there is a decimal data type. Decimal amount, and then category is another string. Okay, cool. I have that schema. Let me paste this one in. Make sure there is a date. Yeah, there is a date. Let's go back over here. So I have date, VF space X. I have date, description, amount, extended details. Let me grab this. Extended details. Appears on your statement as. Appears on your. Just do this. Copy this so there's no issues. And then there is an address, which is going to be a string. There's a city/state. Zip space code, country, and a reference, and then a category. Cool, that's all built out. I'm going to say schema equals discover schema. Let's do QA v find RC MX quit find D. Change that to the same thing. Okay, so now we have our schemas and we have our data frames. I want to come back here and ask, can I do PL rows? And how would I append a data frame to the existing data frames with the new schemas? Do that. I can say concat. So PL dot concat, and I will say this, and I will do that. Read CSV, and that will be yeah, that's not, I don't want a diagonal one. I want just, no, it's the same schema. Concat frames. Vertical is how I want it. Okay, and then I will also do comma discover df. I will do this. I will do that. Okay, cool. So I have all of that. Let's see if this works. Does not work. Data frame. PL module, data frame is not callable. Let's go back up and see where I went wrong. Read CSV. There, and then data frame. Unable VStack column. Schema is okay. So it looks like my dates are actually coming in as strings. So I'm going to change this to strings just to be able to ingest this, and then amount is incompatible with type float 64. Great, perfect. All right, so we have this. Now I want to combine these into the same one. So I'm going to say ccdf equals a new schema, pl dot, pl dot data frame schema equals cc schema, and that will be our CC schema is transaction date, description, amount, and category. So I need to map my credit card headers to the target CSV headers, and then map all those categories to the proper categories. So to do this, I will do ccdf I will remap discover df equals So I just want to be able to say, okay, transaction date, translate. So if I do this, I go here and I say Amex df equal of transaction date equals Amex df date, right? That should work. No. Okay. I want to map. How would I map two data frame into a different schema? Go here. Yes, I see. So we map. Okay, so I can do target schema is used, and then I can say map discover df equals discover df dot select pl call, and this will be trans date dot alias, and that will be transaction date pl dot call. This will be description alias description pl dot call amount dot alias amount pl dot call category alias category. Amex category, map the headers, and then we will do cc df equals pl.concat map discover map amex. Then I want to cc df equals, how would I sort? I want to hold off on sorting by date for now, but I'm going to put in a to-do. Sort ccdf by date. The reason I'm holding off is because I don't want to have to try to debug why the transaction date is not coming through correctly. But that I can ccdf need to, how would I map values from a column into different values? Now I just need to map all of these, and I know in pandas it's dot map, and polars it's dot replace. Okay, cool. So I can say cc.ccdf equals ccdf dot with columns, and this will be category equals pl.call category dot replace category map. I can create the category map up here. Let's grab this map, copy. What this looks like in my editor. Okay. Okay, what I'll do is I'm going to do a macro q a I jk $b b e a bang jkw I bang jka down 0 q. Perfect. Let's move these over. Move these over again. Move this over, and then delete that. And then add a comma to the end. Let's see if I don't know if that will do it. Okay, personal and lifestyle. I see the issue here. And here, merchandise is merchandise. Okay. Okay. I think let me just wrap this up. but this should give us all of our mapped categories, and then we can use this as our output. Okay, let's grab that and then do ccdf dot to csv data slash output slash master cc.csv. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to the pullers here and go input output. Can I do read, scan, read? I want output. It's gonna be write. So it's write CSV. Write iceberg. I want write CSV. Write delta. Write CSV. Okay. Okay, dir data output uv run scripts. Okay, column not found is date. Column not found date. Let's see, where is date? Transaction date, transaction date. Which line is it on? 21597 mapped. Cool. Let's go open up our output and see if it all got concat. Awesome. So we're all mapped to everything. So I need to do some cleaning from the payments and credits and the empty category. Yeah. But we have everything. We have our data source. And we have our categorized spending. So we have our financial ingestion, and really what ended up happening is we got rid of that, we got rid of that, and we got rid of that. And we have a Python function that takes our, pull this over, put this in. Really it goes into here now, and this is just a ingestion script into our credit card statement.csv. So now we have this sort of in a good spot to be able to give to an LLM to be able to understand a little bit better what our finances are going to look like. So that's sort of our first step for starting to give our agent more context. Thanks for joining. Next time we'll take all this data and give it to the LLM to be able to use it. And that's going to just accelerate how it can judge what our actual data will be, and we'll also be able to set this into some of the like dashboards and really have like real data for all of this. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. I know I did. All right.